It's the way to go. Eat a fig, not a pig. Let your kindness show. If it's your wig or a jig or a swig, do you dig? Big. It's the way to go. It's Big Fat Vegan Radio.
When something's fat, there's a lot to show. It's gotta be fat to help the movement grow. Making fat loud chat that won't be flat. It's fat. And here's our show. It's Big Fat Vegan Radio.
I just got that vegan glow, like a drag queen calling Patrick Goudreau. I'm a YouTube vegan cooking up good eating. Veganism makes me glow. It's Big Fat Vegan Radio.
All right, vegans, all together now. When something's fat, there's a lot to show. It's gotta be fat to help the movement grow. Making fat loud chat that won't be flat. It's fat.
It's the way to go.
It's Big Fat Vegan Radio.
Hey everyone, welcome to Big Fat Vegan Radio. We're podcasting from New York City
and San Francisco
to discuss veganism in all of its glory. I'm here with Laura Yaz, vegan writer and entertainment know-it-all.
And I'm here with Ben Strothman, otherwise known as Honey LeBronx, everyone's favorite vegan drag queen.
You can check us out on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook by searching for Big Fat Vegan Radio.
And you can follow along with our show notes at bigfatveganradio.com.
Today, we have a very special interview for you with Anne Dinshah, the author of Dating Vegans.
In honor of the upcoming holiday of love, Valentine's Day, which a lot of you are eye-rolling now, and I feel you, my fellow eye-roller. Do not feel alone. I feel you. But, however, since, dating as a vegan is a very hot topic, we thought we would bring in an expert to discuss it. And I'm really excited because we got the author of Dating Vegans, who is totally awesome. And I just think this interview is totally great. I'm really excited to be bringing it to everybody.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with this interview. I know that a lot of you are thinking, wait a minute, you guys are ahead of schedule. Usually we try to post our interview episodes around like the 15th of the month, around the halfway point. But first of all, February is a shorter month, so the halfway point falls a little earlier.
It's
I didn't
short.
think about that.
Very short month.
Did you? And secondly, I just thought, why wait till Valentine's Day on the 14th? Why not get this information out to you guys a little early so that if anyone's got, any Valentine's Day plans, you can just be armed with a little bit of knowledge on dating someone who might not yet be vegan, or just to sort of break the ice, about the topic about dating as a vegan. Maybe you are newly vegan and you haven't dated yet. We just thought maybe we'd bring this to you guys a little early.
Yeah. So, Ben, why don't you tell us about Anne?
So today we're speaking with Anne Dinshah, a lifelong vegan and the author of the new book, Dating Vegans, Recipes for Relationships. She's also the author of the cookbook, Healthy Hearty Helpings. And she's the co-author of Apples, Bean Dip, and Carrot Cake, Kids, Teach Yourself to Cook, and The 4-Ingredient Vegan, and assistant editor of American Vegan magazine. She is kicking off a book tour this year.
Can I just point out how Wisconsin you sounded when you said magazine?
What did I say?
You sounded magazine.
Magazine?
Magazine.
We say May, like the month of May. A magazine.
Magazine.
It's not magazine. It's not a fancy word. Why would you say magazine? It's not fancy. It's magazine because it's a magazine. It's a magazine. You leave me alone.
I love it. Are you kidding me?
You leave me alone right now. I'm like freshly back from Wisconsin. I've only been back in New York City for a week now.
Magazine.
I'm going to read the magazine.
That's
when I go up on the roof.
I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch Fargo now.
Well, I bought a magazine and then I put it in a bag and then I went up on the roof to to drink a soda.
All right, before you lose me and Ben to a Midwestern accent, let's go to Anne.
And I gotta say, before we start, I was just looking over the notes that Laura put together for us, and I was looking through the list of your books. Oh my God, you're 4-ingredient vegan?
I'm part of it. Yes, it was Mary Beth's idea, but I'm the other part to it, because you run out of ideas with just 4 ingredients, and so she asked me to share in the fun of making them, and it was great fun. Oh
wow! This is gonna sound really geeky of me. I have that book, but I don't just. I don't only have. Not only do I have that book, before that book was published, I put a date on my calendar, like 4 to 5 months in advance. I'm like, this is the date 4-ingredient vegan comes out. And like when it did, I was so angry because I thought just every store would just have it on that date. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't have it? It comes out today. And I must
hysterical.
say, I buy cookbooks, but I never, ever read them. So I can't say I've used it yet. But I'm about to start this new really restrictive diet that's basically just vegetables and beans. So I told myself I got to start reading through that because I got to find some basic ingredients in there that'll be easy for me to make.
Yeah, it's very basic, but it's delicious, and that's kind of how I cook.
Yeah. So I'm a little starstruck right now. I hope you don't.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I just had dinner with Mary Beth last week. I was up in Connecticut on a book tour, and we had dinner together. So imagine we had like 8 ingredients. It was amazing.
This is going to be a fun interview, I can already tell. You know what? I wonder, Laura, we often do this thing where we're going to act all professional and then begin the interview. But I kind of feel like this was an awesome start to the interview. So.
Oh, I love the part about you being starstruck. I want you to leave that in. That's great.
I love the part about me being a crazy stalker about this book. Like, what do you mean you don't have it? I've had this date on my calendar for 5 months. Get the book already.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
So I guess we're already rolling.
All right, let's hit it. Well, Anne, welcome to Big Fat Vegan Radio.
Yay.
Thank you. Great to be here.
We're so happy to have you. So, we're, since it's February and in honor of Valentine's Day, also, we recently had a listener write in and ask us a dating question, and we got really great responses from it. So we thought we would take this opportunity to talk more about vegan dating. It's kind of a hot topic, and so we thought you'd be the perfect guest for our show because you are the author of Dating Vegans. And the first question we want to ask you is basically just what inspired you to write a book about vegan dating?
Well, it was actually a man who had never eaten a meal with a vegan before, didn't even know what vegan really was about. And I wanted to impress him and invite him to dinner. So when I finally talked him into coming to dinner, we wrote an article about his experience. And it was published in American Vegan. And people loved it. So then I was encouraged to continue dating non-vegan men and writing about them until it became a book.
That's awesome. I mean, it's a great idea. It's interesting how much being a vegan or living a vegan lifestyle truly does affect your dating life. I mean, it's such a huge part of who you are and such a huge part of dating because sharing food is such a huge part of dating.
Yeah, exactly. I have to ask, Anne, would you say that, now I haven't actually had a chance to read the book. I know that Laura did, but I wonder if the title, would you say it's more dating vegans? Would you say this is about dating vegans? Like a book for them about dating us? Or is this more dating for vegans?
That's a great question. It's actually a book for everybody because the people who are vegan, sometimes they get kind of discouraged, like, oh, I turned vegan, now I can only date 1% of the population. And they forget that they were really great people before they became vegan, and they need to give everybody else a chance to experience that journey. Yeah. So they find it really, really helpful to know that they're not alone in their quest to find love and companionship. But then the people who suddenly find themselves dating someone who's vegan, who maybe they never met a vegan before, and they met someone, they fell in love, and they're like, oh no, there's things that come up all the time. I didn't know she'd be offended by me wearing a leather jacket or things like that. And And so it just kind of explains a lot of the perspectives from both sides, so that the vegan doesn't have to get confrontational on a date. They can just give the book as a gift.
Yeah, I have to say that when I was reading it, that was the main thing that I thought was so great. I thought, oh, every non-vegan who is dating a vegan should read this book. It will be so incredibly helpful. I mean, I wish I had known about the book when my ex could not handle the fact that I was a vegan. I wish I could have given him that book. It would have been great. I really recommend to listeners, if you are dating someone who isn't vegan, this is the gift. It is so great. It's really insightful, I think, and I absolutely think that's one of the. I mean, I'm giving it to the next person I date. That's for sure.
And it wraps up, kind of well with a box of chocolates and some flowers. It makes a good combo pack.
I think I'm going to start giving this book to guys that I want to date, just like as my way of dropping a hint. Like, hey, ever dated a vegan? I don't know. You think you can handle it?
I just thought you might need this guidebook.
I have no concept of how to flirt or how it's done, so that would be a great way for me to start.
Yeah, well, I'm a terrible dater. This leads us into our next question. But I'm seriously one of the worst daters on planet Earth. I'm so bad. And reading this book, actually, I feel like I should go on a date. I feel like I'm ready to go on a date. I've got some what's the word I'm looking for? Ammunition. I've got some ammunition.
With all this knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people congratulated me on putting this book out, and I'm like, yeah, it's great. It's like a chronology of all my dating failures. So it's meant to give you hope. But in each person that I date, there's some reason why I'm really attracted to the person, why you really hope it works out for us, or so that it's really a catalyst for your own relationship. So you go, well, what if I fell for a guy like that? What would I do? And so that really made it fun.
Yeah. Well, actually, Anne, that kind of helps set up the next question that I've got for you. In writing a book on vegan dating, how did you prepare for the subject material? I mean, I can't imagine there's a whole lot of books on this topic that you were able to read, were there?
Well, I did read a few books just on general dating, but really the topic of dating vegans, we tried to keep the book just specific. If you're vegan, dating someone who's not vegan, or vice versa, just to have that type of information. And there really isn't much information out there. So it was kind of fun to be on my own little quest for a year where I just devoted myself to all my spare time, not like my regular job, but my spare time, which sometimes became a 40-hour-a-week job, was interviewing these guys and going on dates, first dates, and deciding if they make it to the second date. And in our culture, sadly, sometimes it's assumed you're going to sleep with someone on the third date. And for me, on this project, I would write about guys on the third date, which is sometimes way more intimate.
Wow.
Definitely.
And it was often accompanied by a vegan dinner that I made specifically for him with his favorite foods.
Oh.
He just didn't know they were his favorite foods.
Well,
but they are now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way to a man's heart is definitely through his stomach, but also I think the way to an omnivore or meat eater's heart is definitely through, or how would I say that? The way to break through to a meat eater's heart is definitely just also through some really good food. So, I mean, cooking for these guys had to be a way to really demystify veganism. I mean, I know people who still assume that we just eat seeds and fruits and whatever.
Well, the book has 51 recipes, and they're mostly main dishes and desserts. Because if you can wow a guy with a great main dish, he already thinks you eat salad. So
Right.
There's not a whole lot of point to making the most amazing salad. But you make a great main dish, and then you really end the evening right with a good dessert. You can pretty much have your way with whatever else you want to come next.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, I love you have a bunch of really great little suggestions in there about ways to simplify the meal by using store-bought items, but also in the respect that helps that your date or whoever you're courting see that you just went to the store and bought that salad dressing, or it's a non-dairy ice cream from the supermarket. That it's not instead of making everything from scratch, which of course is great, but then it just makes the meal more approachable, the lifestyle approachable. I don't think it was those are really great suggestions.
Thank you. Thanks. It's also fun to, depending on the date, but invite him into the kitchen and, kind of get close and stir the pot together and share the tasting spoon.
Yeah.
You can learn a lot about someone that way.
That sounds like the kind of date I want to go on. My God.
Me too. I want to be on this date.
But forget store-bought. I am not letting my man buy anything from a store. I'm like, no, I want the guy who's going to cook for me from scratch.
Ben, you're the one that's supposed to be doing the cooking in this scenario.
Oh.
Well, if the guy really likes you and you give him this book, the recipes, although they're delicious, they're really easy enough that someone who's a novice cook could truly make an amazing meal for you and just wow you over. So it could work that way too.
And in case
there you go.
In case any potential future boyfriends are listening to this, I must say I shouldn't have rolled my eyes at the thought. I know I do indeed love cooking for people. I truly do. So,
yeah, I know
fellas,
you do.
if you want, I will cook you a home-cooked scratch meal.
Oh, Ben, that's sweet. That's sweet. You're going to hook someone. You're going to hook a fella.
And I should mention that it's not just my dating stories, but there are a lot of stories in here from my friends who are in relationships where one person was vegan, the other person wasn't when they started out, or their journey towards veganism together. And so they're really much more inspirational than I am. And there are some great recipes from them as well. So, Ben, I suggest you check out the tiramisu recipe and the story that comes in front of it.
That sounds like dating food. That sounds like
it is
like a very hot food date kind of item.
So, Anne, I'm dying to ask you this. Do you have any great horror stories that didn't make the book?
Oh, of course I do.
Please share.
Well, I should preface that all the great stories, the wonderful guys, they all signed waivers to allow me to use their real names in the book and their real stories. And so I couldn't have created the book without them. So, yeah, there were some that were not all that great. I did get stood up on a Wednesday night wearing a really slutty outfit at Trader Joe's, and then the guy actually tried to get another chance. I don't think so.
That's hilarious. I'm picturing you in the worst outfit in front of a Trader Joe's.
Oh, he totally, asked me, I want to make sure that, on a Wednesday night at Trader Joe's, we can see a sparks fly from the get-go. And I usually don't dress like that, but I'm like, hey, I might get some new stories, get a new attitude from someone. He might be interesting. And, I was just so shocked that he didn't show up that I actually forgot my groceries at Trader Joe's, had to call them. Because, of course, if you're going to be there, you might as well go shopping, right? So I had to call them and ask them if they happen to have my bag of groceries sitting there. And they said, well, of course we do. We remember you. So I was kind of surprised to be remembered, but I showed back up wearing just a very conservative pair of jeans to pick up my groceries. Yeah. And they had no idea that I was actually humiliated and stood up.
Being stood up is the worst. Really, it's the worst.
They're like, yeah, were you the lady in the tube top waiting for the fella? What I would have done, I would have called on the phone, and then I would have hired a streetwalker to go and get the groceries for me.
That's hysterical.
Yes. I don't really have any being stood up horror stories, because for me, it takes me, and I've actually worked this out to a science, it takes me usually 45 minutes of waiting to realize I've been stood up. It's the saddest thing you've ever seen.
Oh, that's hysterical. You're like, what? They're just late.
Oh my God, they're about 15 minutes late. Well, maybe they're 15 minutes late.
I'm kind of tied with you on that, Park. Yes.
Yeah.
I would wait that long and pretend like I got the time wrong or something.
I think anyone out there who's been stood up will admit you'll wait a real long time.
Really?
You
long
wait.
time.
You're like, they can't possibly be. Something happened. You're just like, so you're totally having.
The guy was awesome. You know, he was. You never know. The next guy you meet could be the one. So you give him those few extra minutes or hour.
And what do you hope for the people who read this book? What are you hoping it will do for them?
Well, I'm hoping it will empower them to have patience with the people that they're dating. At the same time, really scrutinize their relationships and think about what they really want. You know, long-term, short-term. Are they really just looking for friendship, someone to hang out with when they're dating? Or are they looking for someone they're planning on marrying or being with for the rest of their life or whatever their scenario is? And then what can they tolerate? Sometimes you think, oh, I'm vegan, I could only date someone who's vegan, or, well, maybe he could eat a hamburger when he's not around me. But what happens when he starts bringing that kind of food over? What if he asks if he could have a drawer of meat in your fridge, you know, not just a drawer in your closet for his clothes? What if he starts bringing his own food around? And you never really know until you're faced with that situation.
Yeah.
And so I think I give enough scenarios in there where you really start to relate to what I was thinking and feeling and what kind of things I had to decide.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of crossover potential with this book. I mean, sure, it sounds like it's really mostly about dating, but I mean, this could also really speak to someone who is considering, you know, a new roommate who's not vegan, you know, a new living situation with someone who, and having to share a kitchen with someone who doesn't share your values per se.
Definitely. I talk a little bit about just some things as simple as going to work parties, showing up at family picnics or other social events. So it doesn't necessarily have to be one-on-one dating. It can be applicable to a variety of social situations.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was going to say, even just socializing as vegans. I mean, you know, just before this interview, I went out for a quick bite with a friend of mine who's not vegan in any way. And I kind of forget that that veganism is not one of the many things we have in common. I'll forget every now and then, like, oh, right, the person I'm talking to has zero inclination to go vegan. Yet, of course. But this isn't even on their radar. This person is probably actually forgetting that I'm vegan. And then he'll be, like, looking at what I'm eating. And he's like, well, you don't ever eat, like, egg whites? Or, what, are you a strict vegan? Or do you ever eat chicken? Ever? And I'm like, no, this is, like, an ethical issue for me. It can just get so frustrating just having a meal with a friend, you know, when they're not familiar with what I'm doing and why I do it, you know?
Well, I think it's important to then remember where their questions are coming from, whether they're truly interested, if they really just don't understand you and they're trying to understand you, or if they're needling you to get under your skin. And so to treat them with a certain amount of respect, or to know when it's time to just change the subject.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, honestly, so many times in the book, I'm so impressed with how you handle things that people say and stuff. I'm totally not there. I need to work on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with my friend today, for example, I mean, nothing that he was asking was really needling me. It did come from a point of view of wanting to know more. I mean, there was a guy that walked by who had a really impressive build, and my friend and I were talking about working out, and my friend actually said to me, like, sure, well, you like the build on that guy, but you're never going to look like that if you're a vegan and you don't eat chicken. And I was like, excuse me? And I just looked at him. I didn't even say anything. I just gave him a look that let him know. He's like, a look to make him know, oh, wow, I must have just said something really dumb. And then I just went on my iPhone and pulled out a picture of Derek Tree Size. And I said, go to veganbodybuilding.com and then we'll continue this conversation. You know, just people who can't even comprehend that, like, anyway. You know, along with the other, you know, intended or unintended effects of this book, you know, you clearly must have had a lot of conversations with a lot of non-vegans. Two questions for you. One, do you feel like maybe you planted a seed, and do you see, the seed of veganism perhaps taking root with any of these guys? And a follow-up question, are there any of these guys that you might see yourself kind of wanting to see again?
Well, the second question's really easy to answer. You've got to read the book, and then you'll know which ones I really liked and really wanted to see again. However, the first part of the question, the planting the seed, yes, I've had feedback from some of the people that they're eating more healthily, or they're behaving slightly different towards their people that they're dating, and they're being more gently inquisitive of vegans, if it's a non-vegan, asking a vegan different questions. And they have a new respect for people, not just who are vegan, but maybe who have a different religious background or any other type of topic that's different when people date, as a result of thinking about the differences between people who are vegan and are not vegan. And there was one guy in particular who I did a whole section on, and it's called Exploring Compatibility Issues. And we did just short conversations about a whole lot of topics like wearing leather and trapping animals and eating eggs and things like that. So your conversation isn't going to be exactly the same, but it gives you ideas of how to gently go about talking about some really serious subjects.
Yeah.
And I know you're kicking off a book tour. Is that coming up soon, or what's the plan?
Yes, well, I actually started it already. We did the Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York 12-day whirlwind, and that was a lot of fun.
That's great. That's great. Do you have any plans for a new book, or are you just focusing on your tour right now?
Well, right now I'm focusing on getting dating vegans out to the masses and doing the book tour with that. But combined on that, just a few months after that, because I was working on two books at the same time, a few months after that, the new book, it's a kids cookbook. It's called Apples, Bean Dip, and Carrot Cake, Kids Teach Yourself to Cook. That came out as well. And that one I co-authored with my mom. And so
I got to get that one.
Tour, there's a lot of adults who are just secretly purchasing the book and teaching themselves how to cook with it. Even though
I need it because I'm a man.
There you go. But yeah, so I travel around and I can talk about dating, relationships type of topics, or I can talk about cooking and recipes and things like that. And so I really have a lot of work publicizing both those books right now. And yeah, I'm thinking about the next book, but right now it's kind of fun to enjoy the publicity side, which is sort of new for me from being the writer.
Oh, that's so exciting. Well, all right. Well, we'll just have to keep our eye on you. I have to say, I haven't cooked any of the recipes from the book yet, but I want to cook a lot of them. or all of them. They look really great. And so I'm it's I got to get, especially the potatoes with it's like
Paul's portobello. Yeah,
yes.
Paul's portobello potatoes.
I want to eat those right now. I want to eat those.
That was the first recipe I created for the book, and it just kind of kicked things off in the right direction. And yeah, Paul said he loved potatoes and mushrooms and corn and salsa, and so I just created a new recipe. And how can you go wrong when you name the recipe after the guy who inspired it?
I agree with Paul. Those are good vegetable choices.
Yes.
Sound delicious.
So, Anne, now Laura read the book. I have not read the book yet. It sounds to me, are a lot of these recipes named after the guys you cooked them for?
Oh, yeah.
I did try to name a recipe after each guy who's in the book that I dated.
Yeah.
And just kind of as a side note, Ben, you could just read the whole book as a one-night stand if you needed to.
Yeah.
Or you could read it in little sections and take your time with it and enjoy every morsel of the book.
You have a long-term relationship with the book.
You can.
Yeah.
You can take it out in public and be seen with the book and get picked up.
Well, if I read the book like I normally date, what's going to happen is I'm going to read a chapter and never call it again. Hey-o! Typical man over here. But no, I think that's such an awesome idea. Like, one of the things that I always find so awkward about dating is like, okay, we're going to do dinner and a movie. So I'm like, okay, great. So what we're going to do is watch each other eat, and then we're going to sit and stare at a movie screen and not talk to each other for the next 2 hours. And, I think cooking with each other can be such a wonderful interactive way to enjoy each other's company. It gets you engaged in something and talking about something.
It does, and that's why I also didn't see any movies in the book. So you've got a whole lot of ideas of different things that you can do on dates. And I even asked some of the couples what kind of things that they do, because married people need to keep dating each other and keep that spark alive as well.
Oh, yeah, I really, I always say that. My parents are married, I guess it's 36 years they had last month, and they go on 2 dates a week.
Two dates
great.
a week?
Yeah, they have a lunch date, and then they have a nighttime date.
Oh, my God.
They are admirable. They're so cute.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's the secret to their marriage, but I think it's a big part of them staying romantic.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going
definitely.
to check in on my parents and make sure they're doing that.
Yeah.
Like, Mom, is Dad taking you out? Any dancing lately?
Well, while you're at it, you can check in with my parents because they're the first story in the couples section.
Yeah.
I had to tell their story from way back when they started dating in the late 50s.
Oh.
When there really weren't many vegetarians, let alone vegans, that you could date.
Kidding.
Yeah. I'm always shocked when people say that they've been vegan for like over 20 or 30 years because I'm like, oh, wow, you're talking the dark ages of veganism.
The dark vegan ages.
Oh. I always say that we can separate the vegan like time periods, like the vegan years, into like BC and AD, which of course is before cheese and after Dea. You're welcome.
That's pretty funny, Ben.
You can use that.
Pretty funny.
I came up with it in Wisconsin too, of all places.
I like
Nice.
it. I like it.
I have a question, Anne. A friend of mine recently was sort of asking the question. There's a sort of like a gay vegan men group on Facebook, and a friend of mine who went vegan back in March, he was asking the group. Now he became vegan very suddenly, and overnight became very, I gotta say, almost fanatical about veganism. And he became a real all or nothing kind of guy, which I certainly appreciate about him. But immediately he's like, well, I've been vegan a few months, but I suddenly can't see how I could ever date a non-vegan. I mean, if I dated a guy who's not even thinking about going vegan, it would absolutely be a deal breaker for me, and I couldn't date him, and I couldn't see him. And of course, he was asking other people's opinions, and I certainly have a lot to say about that. But do you have anything to say to someone who might feel that way? That they could never date someone who's not vegan?
Well, then I'd encourage them to socialize at vegan events, go to conferences, go to potlucks, go where other vegans hang out. And, if you're automatically going to rule out everybody else that's not vegan, including whoever you were a year ago, if you've only been vegan for a few months, then you're making it harder on yourself. But I do understand where people are that committed to it that they just could never go back to somebody who's not vegan. I, of course, am not like that because I dated a lot of people who are not vegan. But, ideally, I think most vegan people do want to be with someone who is also vegan. And so for your friend, maybe he needs to make a list of all the qualities that he's looking for in someone. And, maybe vegan is top of that list. And for me, when I made a list, vegan was not the top thing. It was much further down on the list. Yeah. But I had a lot of other qualities at the top of the list, like intelligent, athletic, and healthy. Yeah. And if someone's got those three things, maybe they just haven't been exposed to being vegan, and maybe there's some potential there that's worth pursuing.
That is totally interesting. Ben has mentioned to me that he said it on our show. He talked about having a list of traits that he looks for in another person. Mm-hmm. And I have never even thought about it, much less made a list. Yeah. I've never thought about it, except for that, of course, that I insist that the person be hilarious. Like, I can't date someone who doesn't completely crack me up. That's number one. I mean, that beats everything. They have to make me laugh. But it's funny. I should make a list, right?
You should.
I mean,
definitely.
The reason I like having a list like that is, if I start to realize that I'm, seeing a certain amount of someone, or it seems to be kind of getting serious, if I take out that list, or if I find myself just chasing after a certain person, I have this list to be like, okay, here is a list of 18 things. Well, now on that list it would be 19 things, because now vegan is one of those things. But here's a list of 19 things that matter to me in a guy. And if this guy, only meets like 5 or 6 of my 19, traits that I'm looking for, then what am I doing? What am I doing pursuing this? But at the same time, if I meet someone who, like, there's 1 or 2 critical things that they don't have and they're not vegan, but like they meet 16 of my other 19 things, then I gotta stop no one is perfect, and I gotta stop acting like the perfect person's gonna come along and be like, hey, this person, this is a great person, and who knows what might change or not down the line. But I mean, I'm certainly, yeah.
I just think that's also a really interesting way to look at it, because if you do get your, if you are really out there looking for somebody and you want to think about what you're looking for in a person, I mean, I really do wonder how many vegan people out there can say vegan is number one. Like, I don't think it's number one for most people. I get that it's on a lot of people's lists. And of course, it would be on my list, my ideal list. But I mean, if it's not number one, then why wouldn't you give someone else a chance? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, let's say that I absolutely can't date someone unless they're my height or taller, which of course is not true a bit. But I mean, if they're shorter than me, they're never going to be my height or taller. So I mean, that's kind of a deal breaker if I have to have someone my height or taller. But if I have to have someone who's vegan, well, guess what? Someone who's not vegan today could always become vegan. I mean, once upon a time I wasn't vegan, and who's to say that I might not be the person to inspire this person? I mean, when my friend asked that question about, oh, could you guys ever date a non-vegan? Our friend Ethan the doctor, he spoke up and said, well, his husband, for the longest time while Ethan was vegan, his husband was not vegan, and finally he's come around, So Ingrid Newkirk of PETA, I believe she once said, vegans have no business dating other vegans. It's activism to date non-vegans. We need to go out, and it's so awesome that Anne basically, paved the way with a book, all about exactly that, how to date non-vegans and, plant that seed and kind of put the thought in their head,
Yeah, I actually did interview quite a few of my vegan friends, both male and female, and asked them to make a list. Some of them were like Laura and never really thought about it before, and some of them could just rattle off the qualities right away. And most of them said kind of similar things to what I said: intelligent, athletic, and healthy. And it didn't really matter if they were men or women who were saying it. And then there were a lot of people who put vegan on the list, but it was usually around the 5th quality. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty enlightening. I put it as the 16th quality. And I actually did meet a couple of guys who met all 15 of the qualities that I had above vegan, but they weren't vegan. And that wasn't a deal breaker for me. Yeah. But we wound up being the most amazing friends because they didn't happen to have the right chemistry for me. As much as they liked me, appreciated me, liked spending time with me, sometimes there's just not that spark, and you have to respect that. Yeah. And that's what really launches you into thinking, well, what would I trade to have this guy have the right chemistry for me?
Right. Yeah, that spark, I mean, you can't put that on your list, I mean, I met someone a while ago, and we dated for maybe about a month, and by all rights, I mean, this guy had everything going for him, and it should have been the one. It should have been like, yeah, this is someone I think I can start seeing seriously. But there was just an absent spark, and when that spark is missing, like, there's no way to pretend that it's there, if it's there or it's not. Yeah,
I think that's really true.
He was a
Not that
sweet
I've
guy,
dated in the last millennia.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to go on a date. I am going to do it. I'm going to ask someone on a date. I'm going to go on a date.
Go
Well,
on one for
it
me while
works.
you're at it.
Oh, please. You probably went on one like yesterday.
I don't want to go
It
on
works
one.
when someone dares you to do it. Like people dared me to write this book. They said, come on,
Well, I
just
feel
for a year, date non-vegan guys and just keep writing about it.
That
I feel
person,
empowered. I really do feel empowered by your book. I do. I feel like I am way more open-minded about dating non-vegans, and I want to go on a date. I'm ready. Who wants to go on a date?
Good.
Email bigfatveganradio@gmail.com.
yeah, you can just email date Laura at Big Fat Vegan Radio.
If you want to know what you're getting into, watch the Shaka Khan video.
Yeah, basically
And-
that's Laura. We're
'Cause-
gonna sort of make almost like a little beginner's kit. So like a little packet, like the welcome kit will include the video of Laura dancing to Shaka Khan, just so you know what you're getting yourself into.
Just to sum me up.
Yeah, and then you'll have to listen to a few snippets from our podcast over the months, and then if you can make it past that, we're gonna start taking submissions. You're gonna get to pick 3 guys that you like the most, Laura, and then we're gonna let our viewers, because I call them viewers, because I always forget that
He
they're not
does.
viewers.
a lot.
Honestly, I didn't. It sounds like I meant to say that. That was a total slip. I keep forgetting that they can't see us. But then our viewers are going to actually pick the one that they want based on audience popular vote.
All right. Well, you know what? I think it'll be a miracle if 3 people email us wanting to date me. So we'll be lucky if we get 3 submissions.
I will. Can I send one just to kick off the?
You
ball?
can go on a date with me in March when I'm in New York.
Yay! Oh, I look forward to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you have anything else you want to ask Anne, Ben?
I do. So, Anne, since you are so open to the concept of dares, I want to say this book, just the idea behind it, it seems to me like this would be a really good source material for a movie or documentary about the same subject.
I've had some people mention that, just teasing me. I haven't had any serious offers, but
Yeah.
I would definitely entertain offers if you wanted to make a new TV show, dating vegans, reality show, or
I could be on
a
that
serious
show. People could
documentary
date me.
movie.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm seriously, I mean, it almost seems like having been the person who's sort of like figured out how this works, you've got several of these dates under your belt. Like, I could really easily see you making a documentary where you basically go out there and choose an eligible vegan woman and an eligible vegan man, and then set them up on all these like blind dates with people who've like written in and want to be a part of the project, and then the movie going audience gets to watch these people go on that journey, because just
I
the
love this.
just the
I want to watch
idea
this movie. I love it.
just the idea of hearing about all these dates, it sounds very cinematic to me. Like I want to, I'm a bit of a voyeur. I want to see how this all went down,
Well, I thought it was really fun to write the book, Dating Vegans, but people say that my style of writing kind of lends them to have their mind wander wherever they would like it to go. Like sometimes the stories leave them a little bit hanging, and they keep thinking, oh, well, I bet this happened, or I bet that happened. Like it would be good for book clubs to read and debate what happened next in the stories and add on to it.
Definitely. There are a few ambiguous moments where I'm like, I'm going to imagine this is happening.
Well, there have been a lot of ambiguous moments in my own past relationships where one party of the relationship had to guess how something went down. Meanwhile, I'm like, no, that's not how things went down. If you remember correctly, what I said was, you looked fat. I don't know.
Oh, honey. All right, well, I think that's it. I don't have any more questions. Do you?
No, I think that was it. I want to see this on the big screen.
You know what? I do too. We need to get you together with Marisa.
Yes.
Yeah,
From
Great,
the team that
great.
brought you Vegucated.
from our friend. Although she's a little busy right now. She just had a baby. But as soon as he gets bigger, she'll be free.
Babies are
Okay.
supposed to be really easy to take care of, though.
Yeah. Tell me about
Let me know when you want to come babysit.
it. Me, yeah. I'd have to fly cross country.
Oh, it's easy. You sit them down in front of Umi Zumi and you give them an iPad.
Oh my gosh, that is the best way to make a temper tantrum. You just describe the recipe for temper tantrum. It's like, do you want your kid to scream for 3 hours?
If it's several kids, you have to give them each an iPad. You don't give 3 kids one iPad. That's how I see my nieces and nephews fight all the time.
Oh yeah, no kidding. Jeez. Anyway, and it's, oh my gosh, I've had so much fun having you on the show. I want to make up more questions so that we can keep talking. Having so much fun.
I'll make up my own questions. We can just stay on for another hour. I'll start questioning you.
Yeah, far away. And I love the book, and so I wish you all the success in your book tour. I hope it goes great. And
Thank you.
We'll have links in our show notes. You can get all of Anne's books on Amazon, and yeah.
And maybe we can put the information for Anne's book tour so that our listeners can maybe check you out on the book tour. Wherever you may be going.
We can do that.
Awesome.
And they can also look on AmericanVegan.org because we've got a web page about dating vegans on that that I post information, or there's a Facebook dating vegans page as well.
Oh, excellent.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Anne. Really,
yeah,
it's been
thanks,
so fun
Anne,
talking to you.
Yep,
Thanks.
You too. All right,
night.
have a good night.
Oh my God, I love her.
That was awesome. That was
She's
a
so
really awesome
fun.
interview. Yeah, she's so fun, so cute. That
That's
was a really
like
fun
one of the
interview.
best interviews we've ever had.
That was really awesome. I mean, and
She's really fun.
Such an unusual topic to cover as well.
Yeah, great topic. I totally recommend that people check out the book. I really loved reading it, and the recipes are great.
Yeah.
They're really all pretty simple, and they all sound totally mouthwatering. And also, get the book. It's real cheap if you get it on your Kindle. I don't even know what the price is, but I just saw it. It's cheap. It's cheap, people.
Yeah.
It's cheap.
Now, everyone knows that I do not read. I do not care for the reading, but Laura did get a chance to read this, and it really does sound kind of cinematic. Like just what I've heard on this interview really makes me want to go out and check out the book.
Oh, it's pretty great. I will say, you guys, that you have to put a gun to my head to make me read anything that sounds even remotely self-helpy. Like honestly, it took me a year to get over the fact that Kathy Freston wrote anything that was sort of self-helpy. It made me not want to read the rest of her books. Like I'm totally a jerk about it. And this book to me sounds like, oh, I don't want to read that. I don't need to read. It's great. Read it. Get over it. It's fab.
I, on the other hand, I love anything even remotely related to self-help. So now you totally convinced me. Oh my God, I'm like Mr. Self-help books.
Oh my God, I am like, don't help me. I don't need your help, book.
Yes. Well, that's the whole point.
I'm
I can
ridiculous.
help myself, so I want a self-help book. The only things I read in this world are self-help books and instruction manuals.
Yeah, I'm even more prickly about books about dating. When people because, I went out with a bunch of my new girlfriends out here the other night for somebody's birthday, and this girl said, well, I'm reading this book, and she was reading a book about dating, and I had to restrain myself from having a complete pearl clutch freak out, because of course people read books like that, but for some reason I'm like I can't read books about dating. I don't know why. I have a really weird block. But this one, obviously I read it for the interview, but I would recommend it to anybody. Especially, seriously, people, if you are dating somebody who isn't vegan and you are vegan, give them this book. I'm so serious. They will really appreciate it.
Well, especially maybe it was easier for you to read because it's not a book that's telling you how to date or what to do.
Right.
And literally, she's like, you know what? I'm going to be the material. I'm going to go on a bunch of dates and I'm going to tell you all about it. So we're learning.
Yeah, it's interesting though. A lot of the tactics that she uses, I'm going to find really valuable. I think I'm planning on using it. It has a self-help element to it without being a self-helpy.
Because we're learning a bit about ourselves, but we're learning it by watching someone else's experience and just relating to it.
Yeah, and also, but like she said, she features successful couples in the book, and it's beyond just her. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's a good read. So I think we should get out of here. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, I think
What
that's
do you
it.
say?
You know what
All right,
I should
awesome.
do? You know, I've always wanted to do on an episode. I've always wanted to just linger for a needless hour after it's done. And it's
Needless hour? God, that's
so yeah. So is it cold enough for you,
It's like 70 degrees.
Laura? Vegan small talk radio.
Stop.
It's vegan small talk radio. So it's they say it's gonna snow.
So they can see it's going to snow.
Yeah, you working hard or hardly working?
Oh, somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Ben and guilty. TGIF.
All right.
All right, that's all about.
I'm getting the giggles. We have to wrap it up.
Okay.
Everybody, you can follow both me and Ben on Twitter and Instagram under the same names. I'm Lara Yaz, Larayaz, and he is Honey LaBronx, HoneyLabronx.
Not that I know why you'd want to follow us on Twitter or Instagram at this point, but
I know, really. We've lost everyone. Everyone's gone.
I just watched our subscribers drop down to about 12.
Yeah.
Which makes me really want to meet those 12 people.
We can all have
That's
fun.
what I want to do. That's my new vision for this show. I want to get our subscribers down to the smallest number of people
Stop it. Don't
possible
say that.
who will even tolerate listening to us, and then I want to meet those people. Like,
Knock on wood.
What is your deal?
Please knock on wood.
Hey guys, quick update. In our last episode, we mentioned that we were going to do our first ever live show at the NYC Vegetarian Food Festival in March. The time has changed, so the new time of our first ever live show will be at 3 p.m. on Saturday, March 2nd. So be sure to get your tickets well in advance, and we'll see you guys on the main stage at 3 o'clock.
So if you are just a fan of the Laura Yaz, you can get as much of her as you want on her YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/Lara Yaz, Larayaz, and check out her 3 minutes about a movie reviews. They are really adorable, really funny.
Likewise, if you go to vegandragqueen.com, you can get lovely cooking tips and also grooming tips from the fabulous and beautiful Honey LaBronx.
Grooming.
From the Vegan Drag Queen Cooking Show, which is already famous. I'm sure you already know about it and you already watch it.
I don't know nothing about grooming no fans.
Well, you sort of talk about grooming occasionally.
Do I?
Well, you know, you like move your boobs and have an arrow pointing to your arm hair, etc.
Yeah, I guess if you want to learn what not to do as a drag queen, then look at me. Then look at me. And,
also, you don't blend the smoothie in that pretty dress. I would say that's grooming related.
Get a girl who is dressed not quite as nicely as you to do all of your blending and potential dirty work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kristen was such a sport. You can also check out my now famous medieval oil at medievaloil.com. That's MEDIEVAL oil.com.
Ben, is it lame if I buy a fan just so I can breeze medieval oil through my room?
Oh my God. Fantasy girl. You are
like,
going
I don't
to
need a
love
fan, but I'm just going to buy one anyway so that I can freshen my air with medieval oil.
It's the quickest way to just like freshen the air in your room. And also, this is the kind of stuff you want to be breathing in. Remember, they used to make leper colonies downwind of eucalyptus tree groves. So like they would build a leper colony close to a lot of eucalyptus trees because when the wind would breeze through the eucalyptus trees, it would carry all the like the essence of those of the eucalyptus plants in the air, and it really helps make people get better. So yeah,
maybe I could put it over the heater.
You could definitely put it over the heater, absolutely. A big thank you to the Michael Heron for our lovely theme song. You can follow him at michaelheron.com.
And a shout out, as always, to our artist in residence, Kelly Huffine, who designed our logo and characters. You can check out more of her art at kelly42fox.deviantart.com.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for today's episode of Big Fat Vegan Radio. Please subscribe to us through iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. And whatever podcatcher you do choose, it is extra helpful if you can give us an awesome rating and a glowing review on the iTunes Music Store.
Please do. And be sure to let us know what you thought of this episode on our Facebook page. Send us a tweet, leave us a voicemail, or leave us a comment at bigfatveganradio.com. We love hearing from you. Thanks, Ben. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you, Laura, and lump of coal in your Valentine stocking.
There's no stockings. What? You could have just said I love you too.
I love
Have
you
a great
too.
day,
I can't get excited about love.
You know what you can get excited about?
What's that? Go vegan!
You know what? You know what, Ben? If it makes you feel better, everyone thinks I'm being sarcastic like all of the time. Like I'll tell somebody something with a completely dead serious face and mean it, and they're like, "Are you kidding?" It's horrible. No one takes me seriously.
I have a funny story about that. I feel like I'm editing all of this out because I didn't want to make it sound like I didn't say that correctly.
No, it's fine. Yeah,
but so
edit it out.
I'm going to edit it out. But this is a funny story on sarcasm that would be funny to have on the air, but there's no reason to talk about sarcasm on the air. But my little sister and me and my mom were driving to the store one day when we were little kids. And my mom was like being like really bitchy to my little sister, but my little sister kind of had it coming because my little sister was being a total brat the whole ride. So my mom was just letting her have it. And my little sister was like, she just couldn't believe how my mom was treating her. I'm like, Kristen, maybe mom wouldn't be so rude to you if you would just stop being so sarcastic. And my little sister said, oh, yeah, I'm sarcastic.
That is really funny.
It was
How old
priceless.
was she when she said that?
Oh, she must have been like 10 or 11.
I love it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sarcastic.